The sun rises slowly over a quiet city, and the world wakes up with it. But one person sits alone on a rooftop, staring into the distance, feeling the weight of failures pressing on their shoulders like invisible chains dragging them down. They breathe deeply, remembering every setback, every moment when life pushed them so hard they didn't know if they could stand again. And as the wind brushes against their face, they whisper to themselves the words they've said 1,000 times. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm not meant to succeed. But suddenly, footsteps echo behind them, and an older mentor-like figure approaches, someone who once walked the same painful path and understands the heaviness in the air. They sit beside them and quietly say, "You know, every person who ever achieved something great reached a point where giving up felt easier than breathing." The younger one stays silent, eyes watery, heart bruised, listening to the words that feel like they were meant exactly for this moment. The mentor continues with calm conviction, but they didn't stop. And that made all the difference. The scene shifts to a memory, a younger version of the protagonist trying, failing, trying again, and failing harder. They practiced late into the night, worked when others slept, dreamed when others doubted them, and somewhere along the way, each failure chipped a little piece of their confidence away. They see themselves falling, stumbling, losing opportunities, losing people, losing hope. They see doors closing in their face, hear laughter, hear criticism, hear "you can't do it," echoing in their head like a broken record. And in the middle of this storm of memories, the mentor's voice breaks through. "Let me tell you something. The moment you feel like giving up is often the moment right before your biggest breakthrough. But you must endure that pain. You must walk through it." The protagonist clenches their fists, reliving the nights they cried quietly so no one would hear, the days they pretended everything was fine while their heart felt shattered. But even in those moments, something deep inside them refused to die, the faint spark that whispered, "Keep going." The city noise fades, and we move to a training montage, a visual story of persistence. The protagonist wakes before dawn, pushing their limits, working through fatigue, repeating the same routine while results still seem far out of reach. Their body aches, their mind doubts, but their spirit, though wounded, keeps moving. They run through empty streets, whispering affirmations to themselves. "I will make it. I will rise. I will not quit." Sweat drips from their forehead, muscles tremble, lungs burn, but they don't stop. They fail again, but each failure shapes them, sharpens them, strengthens them. We see them study harder, train harder, practice longer, fall again, but always stand back up. Their journey becomes a silent battle between who they are and who they want to be, and the fire inside them grows with each step forward. In the next scene, they face a challenge bigger than any before, a competition, an exam, an opportunity, whatever dream they've been chasing. They walk into the arena nervous, heart pounding like a drum inside their chest, and the world feels heavy. They look around and see people who seem more talented, more confident, more prepared. Their self-doubt whispers, "You're not good enough." But this time something inside them answers back, "I've come too far to give up now." They step forward, trembling but determined. They give everything they have, every breath, every ounce of strength, every piece of heart left in them. And for the first time, they feel something shift. They feel themselves rising above fear, above doubt, above every voice that said they couldn't. The moment slows down as they struggle through the challenge, sometimes winning, sometimes failing, sometimes unsure of what the outcome will be. But they fight with a new energy, a new courage, fueled not by the desire to prove others wrong, but by the desire to prove to themselves that they can endure, that they can grow, that they can become unstoppable. When it ends, they stand exhausted, drained, uncertain if they succeeded. But one thing is clear, they didn't give up. They didn't walk away. They didn't surrender. And that in itself becomes a victory. The scene shifts again, showing the mentor smiling proudly, saying, "See, strength was never in perfection. Strength was always in persistence." The protagonist breathes deeply, realizing that success is not just about talent or luck, is about resilience, about refusing to give in to doubt, about continuing to rise even when life keeps knocking you down. They realize that every setback taught them something, every rejection prepared them, every hardship built them. They understand that the journey was never supposed to be easy, it was supposed to make them stronger. We see flashbacks of people who doubted them, of moments they almost quit, of tears they wiped quietly at midnight, of times they sat alone questioning their purpose. And now, those memories no longer hurt, they motivate, they ignite. They remind them of how far they've come. The protagonist looks at their worn-out shoes, their scars, their victories and failures and smiles. Because now, they understand the truth. Their story isn't about how many times they fell. It's about how many times they chose to rise. The camera follows them as they rise from the rooftop, shoulders no longer slumped, eyes no longer clouded with fear. The city feels different now. The world feels possible. Their dream feels alive again. They walk with new purpose, new belief, new fire. Their steps are steady, confident, strong. The mentor watches quietly, knowing that the journey ahead will still be hard, but also knowing that this time the protagonist has become unbreakable. The final scenes unfold like a promise. The protagonist enters a new chapter of their life, bigger challenges, bigger goals, bigger dreams. But now when obstacles appear, they don't panic. They breathe. They adjust. They fight. Because they know something they didn't know before. Success is built on persistence. Triumph is built on patience. Greatness is built on the refusal to quit. They know the road will be long, painful, unpredictable, but they've learned the most important lesson of all. Never give up. And as the camera rises into the sky, with the protagonist walking toward their future, a powerful voice echoes. No matter how many times life tests you, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times you feel like stopping, don't. Because the moment you refuse to give up is the moment you become unstoppable.